Hey, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on to My City Dance Series. It is a pleasure for you to be on this platform, and you're coming from the city of Reading, Pennsylvania, so it is really, really awesome to have you here today. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So I wanted to ask you, so how long have you been in dance, or how did you start in your life about getting into dance and things like that?
Sure. So I've actually been a dancer since I'm 3 years old, and I'm 23 right now. So 20 years, which is crazy to say. That's so long. But I've stuck with it for so long because, it's not only something that I've always done and that my mom put me in when I was 3, but it really became something that was a part of who I am. And so I've stayed in it for this long.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, what are some of the experiences that you've had in dance as you started to develop your skill and you started to grow in it? Like, what are some really cool experiences that you've had?
Some cool experiences were definitely competing. I did a lot more competing when I was younger, and we would go to places like King of Prussia. I've also done competitions in New Jersey, and that was always fun to go and do that. In addition, my favorites have just been the dance recital that comes after months and months of practicing. Those are always my favorite, and it was always a giant production. I danced at Fabergé Follies Dance and Tumble in Hazleton, and that was for 15 years of my dance career from the time I was 3 until I graduated high school. And the productions that we put on, we would fill the seats half the time, and in addition to that, there would always be an overarching theme, and it was very strategic as to how each dance was placed in the order. And then there was always props and so many things that went on behind the scenes, behind the stage and backstage. So that was always so cool to be a part of. And, whether we were dancing or waiting and changing into another costume, we were always a part of, the number before and sometimes after. So that was cool to be a part of the stage props for other dances too. So everybody was so involved in so many ways, and that was really exciting.
That's pretty cool. So even from the production side of things, behind the scenes, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of different things that goes into setting up a production to help entertain the audience and to be able to give them that really awesome experience. And so were you able to, throughout that experience, were you able to choreograph some different pieces, or what was that like for you?
Sometimes, sure, yeah. As I got older, I became a student teacher, and I student taught for hip hop. So on Monday nights, I would do the younger levels, and I taught I think 2 or 3 classes, and then I would have my own hip hop class right after. So I would be dancing for all of Monday nights. That was kind of my life. And I would help the instructor teach and choreograph. So sometimes we would focus more on technique, and then sometimes I would teach choreography. So that was really cool. And then even after I graduated from Fabergé Follies, after I graduated from high school, when I went to Wilkes University, I had to continue dancing, and the dance team really let my choreography shine. I was able to choreograph several pieces over the time of being a captain, as well as be exposed to other dancers' choreography as well, which was cool.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So even you were able to have the opportunity to be in a leadership role and as a dancer, that's really, really cool. And so growing in your dance venture and your experiences that you've had, what have been some challenges that you've had? Because I know a lot of dancers have faced a lot of challenges, and sometimes it's just not easy, and there's so many different things that dancers go through. So what are some challenges that you've experienced?
Absolutely. So one particular challenge that comes to mind especially is when I was in between levels at Fabergé Follies, we would always say there's the little girls, the medium girls, and the big girls. And to get to the big girls, you had to be advanced to that upper level. And that was more of a casual way of putting it, but that's, how we talked about it. And I remember all of my friends that I danced with for years get graduated to the big girls, and I was like, man, I was pretty discouraged, and I really wanted to be a part of, I wanted to advance, of course, but I wanted to be with my friends that I had been dancing with for my whole dance career leading up to that point. And for a while, I let that really fester within me, and it kind of made me not confident. I wouldn't push really hard. I wouldn't want to go to dance. I would kind of complain to my mom and be like, I really don't want to go. Sometimes I would even be like really crying and really upset over it. And eventually something flipped, like a switch flipped, and I was like, you know what? How am I going to get to be a big girl if I just sit and don't show my talent and really try hard? So I really pushed myself, and for a while I was worried that other people would judge me for like, you know, going over the top and above and beyond, because I started really pushing myself as far as that goes. And then I just stopped caring and I was focusing on my prize, which was at the time becoming one of the big girls. And the next year I ended up being graduated to that level, and it felt really awesome. So while it was really low for me in my dance career, it definitely pushed me and ignited a fire within me. But along with that, I would say, of course, like, it's made me struggle with confidence a lot, because, you know, of course, you're on a stage in front of people, but you're also being kind of picked apart in class for your technique, which, of course, made us better as dancers. But sometimes that would take a real big toll on my like self-worth and self-confidence sometimes, as well as body image, which I feel like self-confidence and body image are pretty universal for a lot of dancers. So I definitely felt that too.
Yeah. That, you know, it's interesting because in the dance realm, it's very challenging when you have to meet a certain standard, right? And so when you're in like the dance industry, a lot of times dancers, they have to starve themselves. So sometimes they have to look a certain way or sometimes even comparing themselves to other dancers because they don't look a certain way or they don't dance a certain way. But if I may ask you, how important is it for dancers to have the mindset of being you, of being yourself? How important is that?
It is probably one of the most integral parts of being a dancer, because as you were saying that, all of these moments were coming to me where I wasn't me and I worried about the rest. Even at Wilkes, with dancing opportunities there that were outside of the dance team, I just remember being so in my head about what all these other dancers were going to think of me, because I don't know, I saw them as more professional or more seasoned, or they had better technical skills. And with that, I chickened out on so many opportunities. I ruined, honestly, a lot of opportunities just from thinking that I wasn't good enough. And if I was able to just push through that, I might have been able to have some other opportunities. However, like, the dance team really allowed me to flourish in that part, because, you know, I had to teach choreography. That was one of the requirements of being a captain. So I had to put that all aside and do it. So honestly, putting all of that aside and just being yourself, it makes, you know, you not only grow as a dancer, but it makes it just more enjoyable. You know, like, it doesn't have to be this huge production. Dancing is a production in itself. Like, you don't need to make it a production inside of your head. Like, you could just have to sit in it and enjoy it and learn something from it. You know, if you weren't happy with something that you did or you're overthinking, just take that as something and apply it to the next time, so that way you can be a little bit better and feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. That's a good point, because I think a lot of times too, you know, dancers, they tend to think too much,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you just have to not think so much, but try to really narrow it down to, okay, you know, I'm going to dance, I'm going to give you my best, but at the same time, I'm not going to stop being me, right? And not taking away that fun, because dancing is fun.
Yeah.
Right? It's fun. And so, and that's the way it should be, right? And it's an art form, right? And so, so what were some other experiences that you've had? Like, have you ever had experiences with younger people or the generation that's like behind us that may have looked up to you or appreciated a lot of the different things that you've done from a teaching perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So for my senior project in high school, myself as well as 3 other dancers that danced with me at Fabergé Follies, we all did our senior project at the Hazleton Integration Center, which is just pretty much a hub for different recreational activities for mostly the youth, but there's a lot of other programs that they do as well. And we taught a 6-week program to younger students, and each of us took on a different country because dance has originated from so many countries. And the main ones we focused on were Poland, Ireland, and Israel. And with that, we taught them a little bit about the history of how the dance steps originated, and then we would teach them those steps. And we also worked on, in like the last half hour of the time that we had together every week, we did a little performance to a Cheetah Girls song, which was really fun for them. They liked that, and at the end they were able to perform for their parents like we would, you know, after a long year of practicing for our recitals. So they had kind of a mini version of that. And we would always see them light up, and all of the students always came to class. They came ready, they came with their shoes, and they were really excited. And so that was a huge moment in dance, even though like I wasn't really the one dancing, or it wasn't really like my experience, it was more for them. So that was definitely a time where they were looking up to us and looking to us. And that was crazy for it to come full circle, because all of us our whole lives since we were all 3 years old, like we were looking to other people for that knowledge and for that experience. So it was great to be able to give someone else that.
Wow, that's awesome. I love the fact that, you know, we can be able to share our experiences and take the things that we've learned and passing it down to the younger generation, right? Because I think a lot of times with the younger generation, they look and observe what we do, right? And so it's something that's like so important for like younger people to really learn from us, and then being able to take the torch, so to speak, and grow with it, you know, and continue it. So that's really cool. Mm-hmm. So where do you see yourself with dance in the near future?
In the near future, that's a great question. With that, dance has been a part of my life, obviously, since I'm 3, and it has been there with me through the roller coaster that is life. Like whenever I am questioning or going through a new phase in life, and I am shutting down or struggling with who I am and what my purpose is supposed to be, I oftentimes look to dance, whether it's choreographing or, you know, learning a TikTok dance and filming it really quickly just to turn my brain off from all the craziness that is life. It's something that I've been able to fall back on, and I feel extremely blessed to have something like that that grounds me when I feel like nothing in my life is grounded. So with that, I'm not sure exactly what will be in the near future. I definitely want to look more in Reading to see what kind of opportunities there are as far as adult dancers go, because unfortunately there's not a lot of opportunity after you graduate high school for whatever reason. Adults can dance too, but definitely trying to garner some of those opportunities, as well as try to become more involved at Alvernia as much as I can before I graduate in May of 2022. So just seeing where it goes. And then in the future, maybe I probably will end up teaching at a studio when I'm older, or, you know, maybe co-owning a studio or something like that. Because I really loved being a part of the productions and the recitals, especially when I was in high school. And that's something I missed when I was at Wilkes. I missed doing those. So I kind of see it being in my life for the end of time, like until the end of time. So I can't really let it go. So I'll find a way.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming onto this platform and sharing your story with us. It's just so amazing to see, you know, all these years and how dance has been with you and how you've grown with it. And just hearing your story is definitely going to, you know, inspire someone else that's going to be watching as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I can only hope so. Thank you for giving me the platform to share. I love sharing, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So thank you.